Hello, hello. Good morning. Good morning. You can see my wife's funny antiques in the background here. That's from a movie set. Okay, while I'm waiting for a few more people to join, I'm going to finish up some prayers. You're welcome to do some prayers as well to just set your mind up for the day. Okay. How is everyone this morning? Awake, alive? How's everyone feeling after 2 days of retreat? Sore? So day 3 of retreat, if you've been in the retreat from the beginning and you haven't had too many distractions, yeah, you should have a baseline level of calm that seems to be more than normal. And this is one of the benefits of retreat. You cut off distractions and you do more practice. And then the tide is rising, right? So now the boat of meditation is here instead of here, which means that today we should be able to get a little bit more intensity, depth in our practice. And after retreat, you'll probably notice that the tide goes out a little bit and you go back to being a bit further down. But hopefully, on the whole, we can bring the water level up a little bit so that the level of our practice after retreat is a bit higher on average than it would have been otherwise. And then, of course, hopefully you will have learned some new things from an intellectual standpoint as well that help you and move your emotions and change your way of thinking and improve your practice more generally, which is part of why I'm spending so much time explaining things and not just doing practices that we already know. Okay, so we're going to start talking about Foundation 3 this morning, but today is mostly practice. Today is mostly practice, so pretty much the full 5 hours. I'm getting a question on the other chat. Hold on. Okay, so someone was asking about when you're doing standing practice. There's towards the end of this retreat, actually starting tomorrow, we're going to do Foundation 4. And Foundation 4 is based on Zen practice and based on Gelug Mahamudra practice, where you learn how to open all of your senses in such a way that you can non-conceptually or minimally conceptually cognize the full range of all 6 of your senses. That's quite difficult to do. And in my humble opinion, for a lot of people, if you tell them, okay, I want you to just go, in Zen style, you tell them, I just want you to go sit and do nothing. That's extremely difficult because that person hasn't yet built up any skills for where is my attention? Did I place my attention somewhere? Is my mind elaborating and running off with me or not? So that technique, it does work. I'm not saying it doesn't work. It's fantastic if you can sit for 3 or 4 hours at a time, several times a day. Eventually that technique will absolutely produce results, that just sitting style. But for humble folks like myself who don't have that amount of time to devote to practice every day, or if we do, probably like me, maybe you do if you got creative, have that amount of time, but nonetheless you don't have the motivation, or you'd be completely exhausted the rest of the day if you gave that an attempt. So what I've done is I've used Gelug Mahamudra and my own sort of ways of trying to get my mind into that condition, to explain how you open each one of the senses individually. So if you open each one of the senses so that you have a sort of like if I'm thinking about vision, for example, well, no, let's not get confusing. So think about the body. So yesterday we did 3 different techniques, right? We did the directions, which is a really classic sort of Gelug Mahamudra approach to getting the senses to getting the body sense to open, is to use the directions. And then we also used the extremities, and that comes from Chinese martial arts and other practices. And if you use the extremities, the mind has to sort of stretch between the hands, the feet, and the head, which are the furthest points apart from each other in the body. And eventually the mind will just sort of begin to fill in the rest. Not right away, but it's a skillful technique to start getting you the ability to just hold the whole body as an object of meditation. Before that, we did body scanning. So you gained some ability to know where your mind is and what it's doing in the whole body. You see what I mean? So we're building up a set of cognitive skills where you know where your mind is, you know what it's doing, you have some control over it. And now we're going to try to do a more difficult object where one of the questions that came in this morning, for example, was someone said, because of their internal martial arts training, they said, well, when I was holding the whole body, I started noticing that my body was opening and closing with my breath, which is a really important aspect of Chinese internal martial arts. You can just think about it as the whole body kind of stretching. And I said, you've lost the object of meditation, right? The object of meditation was not to be aware of your body stretching and opening. The object of meditation was not to be aware of how your body is moving with your breath. The object of meditation is like a mirror. Your mind is aware of all of the sensations of the body simultaneously as best you can. Maybe you can't be aware of every single sensation. But if your mind zooms in on one thing, especially one thing you're familiar with, as in the case with Chinese martial arts, maybe you've done a lot of opening and closing exercises or a lot of stretching the body open for martial arts or Qigong. If your mind focuses in on that aspect, then it's not acting like a mirror, it's just pointing at one thing. Does this make sense? So with this, you're supposed to zoom out and become aware of the whole situation. But instead, if your mind goes, oh, this part's interesting, and zooms in on one aspect, even if that aspect covers your whole body, then you've lost the object of meditation. You see? So, in regards to standing practice, yes, eventually we're going to open all 5 external sense gates and the internal sense gate, the sense gate of cognition, the sense gate of consciousness. In the beginning, that's extremely difficult. And even just trying to open the bodily sense gate and be aware of the entire body, you'll find that it's so difficult that you can't do it, that your mind runs around inside the body and looks at stuff, or it focuses on one aspect that it noticed about the whole body instead of being aware of everything happening in the body. So this is actually quite challenging. So once again, it's very difficult to imagine that someone's going to sit down to do just sitting style meditation in the Zen tradition, for example. And just sit there and let their mind suffuse all 5 senses and consciousness, and not have their mind go like this and jump around and run around inside those consciousnesses without actually opening and relaxing and simply being or existing in and suffusing those senses without doing something in particular, right? And this is the big challenge, that the mind isn't trying to do something in particular. It's simply pulling back and observing the whole situation. So if you find that it has grabbed onto something, or you find that it has zoomed in on something, even if that thing is something that takes up the whole space you're looking at, you've lost the object of meditation. Because the goal was to pull the mind back and have it not actively doing something. So this is very, 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 very challenging. Okay. So we've begun with the body, because if you focus on the body and body scanning and body awareness, it tends to make the mind more calm naturally, which means it will be easier eventually to do full-on just sitting meditation, full-on just standing meditation, full-on just walking meditation, where you have all six sense spheres or all 6 sense gates fully open. Although I think I probably explained enough up to this point for you to understand why I don't teach it that way. I don't teach it just like, okay, now just exist. Good luck. I don't think people can do that. And I think that in order to do that, you need to spend hours and hours sitting. And And when you look at traditional environments, for example, there are videos on the internet. If you look up Dzogchen nuns, there are Dzogchen practitioner nuns who live in the Himalayas. I think still deep, deep, deep in Tibet, where the Chinese don't care. And if you look at their daily practice, they sit, I think, for somewhere between 12 and 18 or 20 hours a day. And the practice, as far as I can tell, that they're doing is a just sitting style of practice. And that's the level of intensity that's required to really break through if you're doing that kind of practice full on. And if you look at Rinzai Zen, same thing. You'll see that that they make you sit absolutely physically still, first of all, and they walk around with a stick. And if they see you moving around or adjusting or falling asleep, they whack you with the stick. You know? Okay. So, hopefully that's impressed upon you that while things like just sitting are absolutely incredible, and while we are going to get there in our retreat, we're going to get to practices like that because they're incredible. They're immensely difficult. And so it's much easier to do each piece of the just sitting style awareness where you have zoomed out and you're fully aware of something without letting the mind become actively involved with it, and without allowing the mind to zoom in, and without allowing the mind to elaborate and come up with all sorts of thoughts about something, right? That type of awareness that's pulled back and is observing the whole situation like a mirror, very difficult to generate. So we're going to learn how to do it in pieces and then put those pieces together. Okay? All right. But the answer is, from the other chat, yes, eventually you will use all of these pieces together for sitting, for standing, for walking. And of course, when you're working, you're engaged in complex activity. This is how you ultimately bring meditative training into ordinary activity. It's part of why I love these techniques. Okay, so let me jump over to the document for today, for this morning. Let me know if it goes black. How's that looking? No, it's fine. Okay, good. Okay, so Kinhin is a Japanese term, a Zen term, and this is related to walking meditation, or this is walking meditation, excuse me. So what is walking meditation? To back up just slightly, I would say this: keeping the mind inside your body while doing the most basic physical movement. That's the cognitive skill we're trying to build up, right? So there's all sorts of other stuff you could do with walking. You know, Tai Chi and Qigong, you can open and close the body while you walk. You can stretch the body really, really open while you walk. You can, you know, move the dantian to move the legs. You can do all sorts of stuff, but that's not what we're doing here. Okay. And it's important to know that's not what we're doing here. We are very specifically just trying to keep the mind inside the body while we're doing the most basic type of physical movement. Up to this point, we have kept our awareness inside the body while sitting when we did intensive breath meditation. We then kept the mind inside the body while standing, while doing body scanning meditation and full body meditation. And now we're going to try to expand our skills of being able to be in a meditative state while moving for the first time. So you can see how we're building up this cognitive ability to be in a highly concentrated state that is at least approaching meditation or getting us closer to meditation, uh, from sitting down, which is the easiest position to do meditation in, to standing, which is a little bit more difficult, and then finally to the most basic kind of movement that we have in our repertoire, walking. Prerequisites. Once again, these are not strict. You could jump straight into walking meditation, but there is a logic to the reason why I've decided to put them in this order. I think ideally, before you do walking meditation, you should be able to place your mind somewhere in your body and keep it there. If you can't place your mind somewhere in your body and keep it there, how are you going to place your mind in your body and keep it there while moving? Right? I mean, you could develop those skills together, but it's a little bit more difficult. Furthermore, since we're going to be moving the body and trying to keep the mind inside the tissues of the body and be aware of tactile sensations, it would behoove you, it would be good if you've already done some practice keeping your mind in the tissues of the body and keeping your mind in the tactile sphere of the body. And therefore, I think standing meditation should come before walking meditation. All right. So fairly simple logic. I hope everyone's following the logic of the instructions. So for walking meditation, it's quite simple. Initially, you choose an environment that's not too stimulating, external to yourself. So if you were to go to a park or the beach or a mall, or somewhere where there's a lot of people walking around, where you might see, maybe you see someone you find attractive, or maybe you see, I don't know, people look at you, and because you're not very good at this, you kind of look like a zombie at first. You don't look natural, so people are like, what is that guy doing over there? And then you feel embarrassed. So also, because our mind is really attracted to things that are new, our mind likes novel, new experiences. If you're going through an environment that's changing as you walk through it, that has a tendency to pull more of your attention out of your body and into the environment. And since at this initial stage of training, eventually this point is not as important, but at this initial stage of training, since we're trying to keep the mind inside the body in particular, you don't want to be walking through basically in a straight line through an environment where you're going to see a bunch of new things over and over and over again, because that's going to pull more of your attention out of the body than if you chose a small space inside your own home. Okay? So you don't need very much space to do this. You only need, you could do it probably in less than 5 feet if you needed to. You just walk back and forth. Some of you, this will be old news, but for some of you, this will be new. You're just walking back and forth, and we're going to get up and do one session of this for about 5 minutes at the end of this talk. And that's it. There are multiple levels to this approach. Again, the easiest one is to just be aware of the mere sensations of stepping, right? Without adding or subtracting content. So I added this morning. Put more simply, you just try to walk deliberately while putting the mind's awareness in the sensations of your feet, for example. So I could talk at some length about this, as you all know. I can go on and on about all sorts of things, but to keep it quite simple, maybe you put your awareness into everything from the knee down, right, on both legs, and you're just trying to be aware of the actual tactile sensations of walking, and then you turn around after your 5 feet, and then you're continuing to keep your awareness in maybe the bottom part of your leg, or if you're able to, your whole leg, something like this, right? So that's just the first level. And we will, as the day goes on, make this a bit more challenging. Okay? We'll add on some of the other skills that we've gained from doing standing practice and so forth. So if there are no questions, we'll do a 5-minute session, and then we will resume after the 1 hour break. Okay. Seems like everyone's happy with that. So once again, very simple. So this will be my little area here. I'll place my awareness in everything between the knee and the foot. And you just walk. You can put your hands in front of you or behind you if you like, at least while you're at home. But eventually, you just want it to be your natural walk. Right? Eventually, you want it to just be your natural walk so that it doesn't look like you're doing anything. But today, for the sake of, since we're alone, since no one is judging us, let's do 5 minutes where we go a bit slower, and put your hands behind you or in front of you so that they're not swinging around and distracting you. And just walk slowly, like this, slowly and deliberately. And both of your legs from the knee down is the object of meditation. So place your attention in everything from the knee down in both legs simultaneously, and just keep your attention there. Oh, yes. Yes, yes. Okay. Yes, if you have an injury, do what you need to do. Okay, that's it for the morning session. The next session is an hour away because in my time zone, a little bit of time to do some exercise. Just got to keep everything working if we're going to be doing a lot of sitting. Today, we're going to be mostly walking and standing, although today is not just about standing practice and walking practice. Throughout the course of the day, we're going to be doing a lot of sitting. So there's going to be less talking today, and we're going to be doing some intensive breath meditation, some body scanning, some full body meditation, and some walking meditation. So now that we're all fully in retreat mode, we're going to be doing some practice a bit more intensively. All right. So if you have time between here and 8 o'clock my time, do a little bit of exercise, get your breakfast in if you're in my time zone, and just get the body ready to do a bit of sitting and mentally get prepared. All right. Okay. I'll see you in an hour.